Welcome to the Planning for Life podcast with certified financial planner professional Russell Jacobs and financial life advisor Carl Coolidge. Carl and Russell will share creative strategies and ideas for overcoming challenges in your personal and financial life. Inevitably, life happens, and we will empower you to reach your destination. Thanks for joining us. Now, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to episode number 4. Last podcast, we talked to Carl Coolidge about their secure process. Today, we're going to talk to Russell, and Russell Jacobs is going to spend a good amount of time talking about another one of those processes. And as I said on the last podcast, if your advisor doesn't have a unique client-centered process, then you need to really talk to somebody else. Only exceptional, truly unique financial services firms have processes like what we're learning from Russell today and what we learned from Carl before. So, Russell, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matt. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you. Now, here's the thing. We're talking about the Rich process today, and it has a very rich history, pardon the pun. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where Rich came from? What is the history of this?
Well, Carl and I have been working together for close to 21 years now, and he joined us in 1997. And prior to that, from 85 to 97, I was working with my father, Russell Jacobs Jr. And so from the founding of our firm with my father in 1962, he's always been client need centric or client focused, a counselor, if you will, far beyond just the financial planning medium, just a good person, solid, ethical, concerned person about the well-being of the person sitting across from him, client or not really. So as time passed and things evolved, the world, as we all know, has gotten more complicated, less safe in some respects because there's so many ways people in our seat in an advisory role can look well on the surface but not have much substance. Mm-hmm. People like Bernie Madoff, Robert Stanford, and those are big names, but it happens at a much smaller scale on an ongoing basis. So we wanted something that we could identify with and share with other professional types that we work with, CPAs, attorneys, etc., but also with prospective clients and existing clients who had not gone through a planning process, with that being the key word. It's a process, repeatable, identifiable, transparent, with a focus on client first. Mm-hmm. And so that's a number of years ago now, working with a coach, which we do from time to time because we're always trying to figure out how can we do better and be better for our clients and our team. And we developed the Rich planning process initially, which has evolved into the Rich planning experience, a holistic approach to financial wellness, because we're constantly working on trying to improve the process and ourselves and our client experience. And that's what we wanted it to resonate, was it is an experience. It's one of the most important experiences in someone's life because they have finally decided to quit procrastinating and quit putting it off and deal with where they stand. And because it really boils down to, where am I now? Mm-hmm. Where do I want to be? And what do I have to do to get there and stay there? And that's what we help people do, is show them how to do that. And then they have to decide if they want to or not, because a lot of it's a matter of self-discipline. Mm-hmm. And I call it stick-to-itness. I know it's not a word, but it works for me.
Sure.
And, we wanted something that really was straightforward. And, you spoke with Carl in the last podcast about secure. So we developed Rich and Secure, because who doesn't want to be rich and secure? Everyone wants that. Yeah. And it's really, what that means is unique to each individual. For some people, it could be social. For some people, it could be spiritual. For some people, it could be a monetary-based objective or familial. It's all about their family and wanting to make sure that they're taken care of. And So the rich planning experience, that definition of what rich is unique to that individual, couple, or family that we're working with.
Well, let's break down what RICH stands for. So RICH is an acronym. It's RICH. Tell us what each of those letters mean, please.
I will be happy to. The R in rich is really probably, in my mind, the most important, or at least the bookend to the H in importance, because the R stands for relationship. And it's a fiduciary financial planning relationship that we have with the client. And it's a relationship that we hope spans years, decades, generations, because we want to work with clients for a long period of time. And that's why we decided to develop a team versus an individual advisory approach. But it's a relationship based on trust, transparency, and an always client-first approach, because otherwise all you have is a transaction. And you see it on TV every day. You get it in your email. You see it on Facebook. You see it Instagram, everywhere you go. We live in a transactional world. There's a lack of in-depth relationships where you can feel comfortable and know that your best interests are being looked after from someone. And, philosophically, my approach is to develop a client or a friend. So either way, we're focused on developing a successful relationship with the whole person. So, rich planning experience, a holistic approach to financial wellness. So, the I in rich is about inspiration, inspiring you to take action, quit procrastinating. Procrastination kills more people's financial dreams than anything. I should have done that. I could have done that. We ought to have done that. How many times do we hear that? So the I is about us inspiring you, the prospective client, to share your dreams, visions, goals, what keeps you up at night, perhaps change an advisory relationship if it's warranted. We don't use a wrecking ball or make change for change's sake. We respect loyalty and a job well done. And so we call it collaborative financial planning, because we're going to build a team where we're the facilitator and the connector with your other advisors. So the hope is to get you excited about something that you really don't want to talk about. Who wants to talk about if you die too soon, if you live too long, you get hurt or sick, or the expense of college, which is dramatic, and it's just overwhelming. And people don't want to be sold. So that's the other thing that the process allows us to do. It is a total focus on planning. And we did choose a fee-based model so people can implement our recommendations with us, but they can also choose not to. The fee that they pay us to do the plan is just that. It's for the plan, nothing more. And I'd say close to 95% of the people that we work with from a planning perspective do choose to implement the recommendations with us, but they don't have to. And the C in rich is for composing a plan so that it's truly ready, aim, fire. There's a lot of ready, fire, aim out there, or just fire. Barney Fife comes to mind. He's got one bullet in his gun, and they don't even let him keep the bullet in the gun because he would be so apt to just shoot it. And when you think about inspiration to take action and composing a plan, there's an inclination as people go through this process and we get to know them and they get to know us, that they're going to want to work with us, because you don't really want to go to the surgeon and get your workup and then they give you your medical file and say, okay, go find the person to do the surgery, or apply that to anything, dentist, whomever you might seek counsel, where they prep you but then send you on your way. So periodically there's someone like that who's just a self-starter, but for the most part, that's why people then choose to work with us, because we've begun to build that bond of trust and transparency. And then the H in rich, as I said, is kind of the bookend. The H is about holding you accountable. I already talked about procrastination being the bane of people's success, not just in financial planning, but in life in general. And so we're going to hold you accountable to your plan and your goals, because they're your priorities, your goals, not ours. And so before we engage a client, they sign the engagement paperwork and give us a check. I tell them two things. One, we're just going to tell you the truth because that's what you need to hear. and people don't like to hurt people's feelings. And we're going to be appropriate, but we're going to just share the unvarnished truth so that you understand where you are, whether it's an attaboy or girl, or you're in trouble, or you need to get on life support and take some immediate corrective action. Whatever it happens to be, we're just going to share that with you in a professional but appropriate and direct way. And the other thing is that, yes, I'm a CFP, have been since 1999. I know a lot about advanced planning topics and this and that. But you know what my most important skill set is? Drill sergeant.
Really?
So, yes. So what I tell people is, I'm going to become your drill sergeant, your drill sergeant CFP, but nonetheless you're a drill sergeant, because what's keeping you from being successful in this effort is your lack of finish. So, and if they're comfortable with that, that authorizes us to follow up as needed without them being surprised or upset. And I tell them, we're going to follow up with you until we accomplish this objective, or you tell us you no longer want to pursue these priorities as your number one goal. And I guess that's really rich in summary. And I think the other component of it is really we focus on trying to get our clients to make proactive strategic decisions, not reactive tactical decisions, where there's forethought in this process. So they're actually really laying out goals and objectives, time horizons, risk tolerance, and really how much do they want to do for their kids or themselves? When do they want to retire? All these things that they generalize but never get into the nitty gritty. So we get very granular and peel that onion back. If you're the client, we peel that Matt Haller onion back to really get down to what's driving you. There's a lot of psychology in what we do, and it wasn't really what we intended necessarily, but it just kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah.
And, we've gotten letters from people, just really thanking us for sticking with it and getting their spouse to the finish line because they just were never getting it done. I had one person, I gave the fee back twice because I couldn't get the data to do the plan. And without data, we can't do the plan.
Sure.
But we stuck with him the third time we got it, and, his wife was just thrilled. In fact, we just did their 6th annual review, and he's a cardiothoracic surgeon, and so he's a really smart guy, really sweet guy, but he just wasn't getting it done. But we finally got there. And so those proactive decisions that are followed through to strategic implementation just give you a much better chance of sustainable success. And that's how we operate our practice too. Ashley Langford on our team, one of her key responsibilities is securing annual review meetings with clients. So we build that as an expectation when we start a relationship, but that's still not easy. And so we have a target of trying to get at least 55% of the people in, and we'd like to get 100%, but we're constantly, the most difficult part of what we do is constantly chasing clients to get these things done.
Yeah.
And the last part I would say about the H and Rich being about holding you accountable. Well, we want to be held accountable too, because it's a two-way street. You're kind of placing your future in our hands to a degree. I mean, you're ultimately always responsible, but we have a part of our fact and data gathering is something we created called dreams, visions, goals. And there are no yes, no questions on there. And we get the husband and wife to do them individually, but they have to think about it because they're kind of broad questions of all types. But one of the key questions for us is 3 years from now, what will we at Jacobs Coolidge Company have had to accomplish for you to be glad that you chose to work with us? And so when we put our annual review process in play and you're coming back in for your review, we understand what our measure is, just like you share with us what your goals are. And that really is a transformational aspect because people aren't used to that.
What sort of answers to that question do you normally get, Russell?
Well, I mean, people just want it to be focused on them. They don't want to feel sold.
Gotcha.
They want you to understand what their life and risk dynamic is. They want us to be proactive in our communication. They want us to get to know them. Many times they don't feel like their previous advisor was proactive at all. They were just reacting to their overtures, where I had to call the advisor to find out anything. So, we have organized touch points where we want to try and reach out to these clients. And also, if they do reach out to us, we're going to be very responsive. They want to just know they don't have to keep their guard up because they know if we're going to recommend it, we truly believe it's in their best interest. And that doesn't mean we always agree on what's best for them. Philosophically, though, we understand in our view that our client, each one, is our CEO. So we have many CEOs. So philosophically, our job is to educate you as to where you stand and what we think is the best way for you to achieve and something or avoid something else or protect whatever it happens to be. Educate you to a point of comfort where you feel like you know enough to make a decision, and then yes and no are both the right answer. So there's sometimes we think you should do something and you say no, and as long as you are making an educated decision, we're fine with that. We might not like it, but we work for you, and so we're going to move on, and we're going to present that information in a summary format, in a balanced format where you understand what your options are. Just don't procrastinate.
Yeah.
The decision.
When we were preparing for the podcast, I want to just highlight one of the things that you said. Can you share with everybody what you said about the Rich brochure?
Oh, yes, I'd be happy to. We spent a lot of time developing it, and so a lot of us is in it. But just like I said, we all get busy. There's always another opportunity or fire to put out, or there's always just a lot going on. So sometimes, like this morning before this podcast, I just picked it up and read it because I really like just the entire messaging of it, a holistic approach to financial wellness and service and support that's second to none. And that's just about it. Just organize, monitor, collaborate. It just hits all of the things that our firm is about: dedicated planning and a focus on collaboration with other people on your team. And we facilitate meetings with attorneys, CPAs. If you need this is a bit facetious, but if you need a plumber, we know the plumber will help you get that done. And consequently, we've ended up working with a lot of widows and divorced women, particularly, who just need someone they can trust. And I do think that's an evolution from my father, who started the firm. And, we just want people to get what they need in a timely manner and feel comfortable that they can be taken care of here. And, whether you're preparing for a milestone life event or simply looking for sound financial strategies, that's really what we are. We don't have some preconceived notion of what you're going to need when you come in. Each one of our plans is different, and there's a fee for it because of our expertise and the technology that we use, and we are different. And that's, besides client procrastination, unwillingness to make a decision, that's probably my biggest frustration, is we get thrown in the same box as any other proprietary broker or insurance person who has no process, or they might just be a friend or a connection through family or what, or they might not even have that type of relationship, but you just know them from somewhere. And if they say they're a financial advisor and we say we're a financial advisor, we get put in the same box with that person, and it drives us crazy. And so we try through Rich and the content through the brochure and just the different communication efforts to really show how different we are. We work in a lot of different states and a lot of different cities, large and small. And I was speaking with someone from Ohio yesterday, just kind of chatting about the fact that we're working in these different markets because in our area, no one else is really doing a planning process like we are. And certainly there are other excellent CFPs or people with processes, but because of the background we came from, with my father coming in up through the insurance side of the world as a CLU and CHFC, we have just a different approach to the whole planning process. And because we've embraced technology through the use of e-money and all the things that it can do, and have a person on our team who's worked in this software for 15 years and is a specialist and an expert, I'd say. This person said to me, Russell, it's not really just that there's no one doing it the way y'all are in the Southeast. I don't think there's anyone doing it exactly in the country. And, that was kind of a eureka moment for me. I was like, wow. So we'd really like to get this message out to people that they should kick our tires and just look into the process. We're happy to share it. We share it every day. Some people engage us, some people don't. But that's the way of the world. When you operate the philosophy of make a client or a friend, you're not going to go wrong.
Right.
So.
Well, and I like the history behind all of this. I mean, you learned a lot from your father, and it's now translated into something that's even greater than what your father had created. And you do work with people in just about every state. Is there somebody who you have realized, or a demographic or a psychographic of the population who you resonate with even more strongly, or have found that this level of financial planning benefits them the most?
Yeah, I'd say generalizing, it's a time-challenged person who realizes the need to get something done. They're typically, quite intelligent. They just haven't, for whatever reason, prioritized this or been able to quite get there. They're typically a business owner, sometimes very complex, sometimes not. We do get introduced. There are a couple of CPAs specifically and an investment banking firm that we get. We're like the critical care level 1 trauma ER. We get their complicated cases because they know, because of our stick-to-itness, there's that word again, we will finish the drill. And with good data and understanding what people spend, we will take them to conclusion. So I'd say it's a time-challenged person. It can be from any walk of life, but the closely held family business owner is someone that we work with quite a bit. And as I mentioned earlier, we've ended up being introduced to a number of widows and divorced women primarily, who feel comfortable here with our process and with our transparency, and they can just know that it's going to be in their best interest. And and we also look out for their interest if they have need of an attorney or a CPA or this type of thing. We try to be a resource for all our clients, and we have kind of the mantra: we either know it or know who does it. So that's what we want to be for our clients, is a resource where they think, well, if I need this or that, I'm going to call Russell or Carl. And, we have, I guess you've got 10% of the clients who probably call us before they do anything, 10% of the clients who probably never call us, and the other 80% are somewhere in between, because in effect, I'm a CFP, but we're also life coaches. I think Carl actually references himself as a financial life advisor, because at the end of the day, that's what people want and need. They don't want to just be sold something. They want to know that you care about them. So whether it is a widow or divorcee or a business owner of a business doing well over $100 million a year, we have all different types. And, we offer our financial planning to employees and team members of any of our 401k clients too. I'm kind of bleeding into Carl's area of expertise a bit, but so because we believe financial planning is really the foundational element of success, and a 401k is not a plan. It's an avenue. It's a means to an end. So, and going back to my father, he really felt, we call it our custodian, the CEO modeling, that everyone should have the opportunity to discuss financial planning in an objective manner where they can actually, either hear from someone or bounce some ideas off of someone to just get some perspective on things, because we do have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas that most people aren't they're not involved with every day. So what seems, just common to us, they're not even familiar with. It's like they're reading Greek.
So if somebody is working with an advisor right now who doesn't have a process like this, or with what you've said, it really resonates with them, what should they do? I mean, what is your call to action? What would you want people to do?
Well, if I might provide a bit of self-promotion, I would say we would love for them to call us or reach out to us via email or our website, and just to kick our tires. because if nothing else, they'll gain perspective on what a process looks like, because they should either work with us or work with someone or some other team that has a process that they can explain and share and give you a reference to someone else who's gone through it so you can get to the comfort level you need. So I would say, give us a call, or if not us, work with someone. We're in a study group with firms that kind of represent a national geographic setup, all similar planning focus. So there are some firms out there that do it this way. And, there's a lot of just disinformation out there and other perspectives. So you need someone who can share, utilize, and repeat their process and feel completely confident that it's in your best interest. And, we have a philosophy: if we can't explain it where you understand it, don't do it. And if it's too good to be true, it almost always is. Procrastination and greed and listening to people that can't back it up with facts, it gets so many people in trouble.
Yeah. All right. With that, if anybody wants to reach out, what's the best phone number for them to reach out to you guys at?
Well, my the Brunswick phone number, kind of our core office, is 912-265-2876. We have an office in Savannah. That number is 912-354-5443. Or they can just email me at rjacobs@financialguide, just like it sounds like, financialguide.com, rjacobs@financialguide.com.
Fantastic.
We use Skype often because we do have clients all over the country. And so we would typically, if someone is somewhere else, meaning, not within 5 hours, because I drive about 40,000 miles a year, so somewhere else is pretty far away, but we can do an initial Skype conversation just to, if they want to find out more.
Good.
And I think the other thing I would tell people, just kind of pivoting back to your other question, is don't be afraid to ask the hard question. If you have a question, ask the person sitting across from you or beside you, because that's going to avoid problems for you down the road. And, I have found in my 32 years that the person who is too easy, if you will, becomes a problem later. So we want you to ask difficult questions. We want you to understand what this means to you if you do this or don't do that. And we just want you to be comfortable. And you can't be comfortable if you're not willing to ask the question, and you're not going to hurt the person's feelings. And if they react badly, they're not the right person.
Sure.
So, you have to ask the questions that you need to understand, make yourself comfortable and ready to move forward.
And with that, thank you very much for your explanation of the RICH process today, Russell.
Thank you. I've enjoyed chatting with you.
And if you have not subscribed to the podcast, make sure you click the subscribe now button below. And if you know anybody who would really benefit from this, to find out a little bit more about what financial planning should look like, please make sure you share this podcast with them. For Russell and Carl and everybody at Jacobs Coolidge Company, this is Matt Halloran, and we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.
The content is developed from sources believed to be providing accurate information. The information in this material is not intended as tax or legal advice. Please consult legal or tax professionals for specific information regarding your individual situation. The opinions expressed and material provided are for general information and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. Russell C. Jacobs III, Carl B. Coolidge, James Jacobs, and William Schwartz are registered representatives of and offer securities, investment advisory, and financial planning services through MML Investor Services, LLC, member SIPC, Supervisory Office, Jacksonville, Florida. Jacobs Coolidge Company LLC is not a subsidiary or affiliate of MML Investor Services, LLC, or its affiliated companies.